Hi, I'm Kat and today I'm doing my spring wrap up and summer TBR. And once again, yes, people from the Northern Hemisphere, the seasons are opposite in the Southern Hemisphere. It is summer here. We have very hot Christmases. Also, I need to film this really quickly because I have to leave for work in 20 minutes. So in spring I read 9.5 books and 2 short stories. First up we have a reread, and that is A Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah J Maas. I was in a very big reading slump for like most of winter, so I needed something just I know that I would get through quickly, and this was it. I still gave it 4 stars and I really want to read Akamath at one point. Next I read Mirage by Samoya Dord. I'm so sorry, I probably butchered your name. This was a YA Rooms book of the month and I gave it 3 stars. I enjoyed it. It's a fantasy-esque sci-fi and it's about 2 girls who look exactly alike. One's a princess, one's a peasant. You see where that's going. And I finally finished the series. I read The Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. I finally finished it. Now I just have to read the other series that came after this. I gave it 3 stars because I enjoyed it, but please don't kill me. I think this series could have been 3 books instead of 5. It just dragged on a bit. And then I listened to The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. I don't normally audiobook books because I get really distracted, but that English accent though, I really enjoyed it, and I was listening to it in preparation for the YA Rooms next book of the month, which was A Lady's Guide to Vice and Virtue. And I did start listening to that as well, but I didn't finish listening to it before my loan was up at the library. So now I'm back on the hold list and I will listen to it then, but I'm like 16th in line for it. Then I read the book that I had been waiting since Empire of Storms to read, Kingdom of Ash. I binge read this in 4 days. I did plan on reading it in 2 over the weekend that it was released, but I got sick, so I spent most of those 2 days sleeping. But, you know, I finished it in 4. And that slump I had been in through winter to the beginning of spring, this definitely kicked it. Like, stuff a cute contemporary to kick a reading slump. Give me a huge fantasy. But yeah, I laughed, I cried, I ran into Kate's room because I had to tell her who showed up. Oh, and I gave Kingdom of Ash 4 stars. And then I read another huge fantasy, Warstorm by Victoria Aveyard. Also a conclusion to a series. I finally finished the series. I gave this one 3 stars. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't completely satisfied with the ending. I just kind of need a short story that takes place afterwards so I know what happens with certain characters. And then I read Lifelike by J. Christoph. I gave this book 4 stars. I had got it at the Melbourne launch, as you'll see, because it's signed like all my J. Christoph books. So I finally read it, which you see is kind of a theme in this one. I'm finally reading books that I've had for a while. I enjoyed it so much more than I thought I would, because the tagline is, it's Romeo and Juliet meets Mad Max meets X-Men with a little bit of Blade Runner cheering from the sidelines. And I was like, that's a lot to live up to. But I read it pretty quickly, and it does that classic J. Christoph thing where, you know, you're going along and you're like, oh yeah, stuff's happening. And then right at the end, Jay's like, and you're like, the fuck just happened? And then I ebooked The Gem of Orithian by Millicent Nankerville. This is book 2 in her Anastasia Avignon series. I have a review of book 1 up on my channel. Millicent is a friend and she sent me this one to read, and I got some answers to some of the mystery, but not all the answers, and I need them, Millicent. And then I also ebooked Masquerade by Kylie Fornasia. This was originally her debut novel, but then she rewrote parts of it and released it as an ebook for free, which I think it's not free anymore, but I got it while it was free. I had read her second book, The Things I Didn't Say, which is a contemporary, and I loved it. So I finally got to read this one and I really enjoyed it too. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's a story set in 1700s Venice and it's set during Carnival. It's a lot of fun most of the way through, but then the ending gets really dark. And I felt like there was more there. Like, I was not satisfied by that ending at all. We didn't get any closure. I don't know how different it is to the original version, but I did read through people's past reviews and it looks like a point of view was taken out and another character might have been put in. And lastly, in spring, I read the first 2 short stories from Ghosts of the Shadow Market. I really want to read all of these before Queen of Air and Darkness comes out, but I left it really late to put them on hold from the library. So I read the first 2, but I'm like 6th in line for like the rest of them. But I really enjoyed these first 2. The first one is about Jace when he's 10 years old joining the New York Institute, and the second one is about Matthew Fairchild, who I think I love already. I can't wait to read more of him in The Lost Hours. And now onto my summer TBR. First up, we of course have Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. I have to read this as soon as it comes out. So basically that means I'll read it this Saturday it comes out, because it probably comes out on a Tuesday, because, you know, full-time work and all of that. And we'll also see how many short stories I get to read before this comes out. Like, I really don't understand why the binder of the short stories isn't released before the book that it could have information about does. Like, I know they're not essential to read before you read the main books, but I would rather read everything in publication order. Anyway, I am pretty sure this book is going to destroy me, and I am getting both the paperback and the special edition. Next up, I want to read Unearthed by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This is the one book that I own of the trio of J, Amy, Megan that I haven't read yet, and you know, it's signed, I've had it for a while, so I need to read it. And it's got to join the J, Amy, Megan shelf, which I have up there. This one is sci-fi because they write a lot of sci-fi, but it's not set as far in the future as their Starbound series would be. Like, Earth is still around and discovering other planets. And then, surprise, surprise, I have Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Yeah, it's here again, I haven't read it yet. But now I do own Morning Star because I found it for $7 at a clearance book place. And I bought this one for $2 at a secondhand store. So now I just need to get Golden Sun for really cheap, and then I could just binge read the series. But for now, I am gonna try to get to this one this season, she said, for the past 3 seasons. And then I want to read Akane by Lynette Noni, and this is my copy. I own it now. It came free with my copy of Kingdom of Ash, so thanks Stimmix. And now I can finally start the series. I've heard this one is described as like Narnia, and like there's kick-ass female characters, and there's a school, so maybe like Harry Potter, and just like finally want to read it. Then lastly is a reread, and it is the Vampire Academy series by Rochelle Mead. I'm going to read the entire series, but I won't be reading these copies because they will stay here in Melbourne, and I plan on reading them when I'm home in South Australia for Christmas, where I have another set of the series. It seems I have read this series 5 times. You can see I marked it off in here. The first 2 times I couldn't remember the dates that I read them because I only started counting in 2011, but I read this particular book in November 2011, September 2012, and July 2014. And I've read some of the others since, and they have their dates in them too. This will be my 6th reread of Vampire Academy, and I had planned on rereading them just because I hadn't read them in a while. But then the YA Room announced Throwback Month, and they're going to be having a bingo challenge where you try and read as many like throwback books, so books written before 2013, and win the challenges. And this whole series was written before 2013, so it's perfect timing. So there you go, there is my summer TBR. Please comment down below what's on your TBR, or if you've read any of the books I plan on reading. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see more of my videos. I'm now off to spend 8 hours at work.